my name's Lauren Holschbach, and today I want to talk about cheerleading. According to Merriam-Webster, the dictionary definition of the word sport is an activity involving physical exertion and skill in which an individual or team competes against another for entertainment. So with that being said, the two aspects of a sport would be considered the skill and the physical exertion of the skill and competing. So maybe not so much school cheer, like when you go to school and you see the cheerleaders on the sidelines, but when you see those competitions on TV, on ESPN, and you hear about these cheerleaders doing all of these crazy things, that is a sport. And I'm going to convince my audience of that today. So, although people may be opposed in favor of this proposition, I think that most people would not consider it a sport because of the stereotype that comes along with it. Because my audience is more so on the opposing side, I will phrase my proposition of fact. Cheerleading should be considered a sport, basing it off the definition of the knowledge, practice/skill, training, and the physical aspect, and of course the competition. So, let's get into it. Cheerleaders have training, in season and off season. In season means during the season they're going to be working out 2 to 3 times a week at minimum, doing cardio and weights for tumbling and stunting, which we get into later in more of the skills section of this portion of the speech. But they have to train, and they have to get their bodies in a perfect shape to where they can lift people in the air and they can throw themselves backwards 4 times in a row and not be tired. Their shows, the competition shows, go from 2.5 to 3 minutes long. So you have to go full out, is what cheerleaders call it, for 2.5 minutes, all with a smile on your face and pretend that it's the easiest thing in the world. So, you have the training aspect of it, but then you also have the practice aspect of it. So that means that in season, you will be having training, physical training, but also in the off season, you have physical training, just as a football player would have physical training in the winter, even though their season is in the fall. Cheerleaders do the same thing, but they also have the practices and they have the training during the weeks as well. So that means cheerleaders can go to practices, which would be 2 to 3 hours long, 2 to 3 times a week, and depending on the skill level that you're at, the level of cheer that you're in, you can go up to 5 days a week and have the competition on Saturday or Sunday. That being said, that means that cheerleaders will have 2 to 3 practices, or 2 to 3 hours of practice, plus training, and depending on the level, you can have up to 5 days of those practices. Cheerleaders also go into more so of skill. So let's get into the skill section of the speech. Cheerleaders take skills from other sports, such as gymnastics and dance. So, and they make it into their own form of sport. So they take the aspects of dance and they take the aspects of gymnastics, like the tumbling, that means like the back handsprings, the flips, all of that fun stuff. And they take aspects of stunting, which is something that is of relevance just to cheerleading, which is stunting is when you have the bases. So you have the side bases, the 2 people on the sides, a back base, and sometimes a front base. And you lift a flyer, so a girl usually, up in the air. That is stunting. Then you have pyramids where you have a level going up to the top. So instead of just the people on the ground lifting the one person up, you have those people lifting people up and those people that are up lifting another girl or 2 up. So stunting and tumbling and dance all form into what we call a competition cheer routine. And if that alone with your practice and skill isn't enough, let's get into the physical exertion of the body. So, as mentioned previously, you have the physical training that you must go through. You have the stunting of lifting people up in practices the entire time, all week long. You have to do this all with a smile on your face. You have to throw yourself into crazy positions backflips, potentially hurting yourself and your body the whole time, but it's not a sport. So, with that being said, we go into the level of difficulty, because in the definition it says the difficulty of the skills. So we have the level of difficulties goes up higher per level you are in training. So let me explain that. So little girls, like say age 5 to 6, there's competition teams for those girls, and it's called like level 1 or level 2. And they go up in levels depending on how good the team is. And the levels go, not up so much in the levels of how good the team is, but have different criteria for each one. So level 4 might be that you can do a front roll or a back handspring, but a level 6 or 7 or 8 might be more something into a full or a double full, or a standing back tuck. Those different kinds of skills are different kinds of flips that girls can do, along with different kinds of stunts and different pyramids, and pyramids don't even come in until certain levels as well. So those go up in skill based on the difficulty, aka the definition. So different levels of cheer have different levels of difficulty, and which is why it proves my point further that it completely fits into the dictionary definition of cheerleading as a sport. Let's go into my last point here about the competition aspect. So as I explained before, there are different levels. So these levels go into different competitions against each other. Now, the most known competition is the NCAA competition in Daytona, Florida. At the collegiate level is the highest level you can go, so you have to go to a college. And I don't know how much people know about cheer, but if you haven't, or if you just learned about it, it would be probably because you watched the new show on Netflix called Cheer. Navarro Cheer is the #1 collegiate level cheerleading team, competition cheerleading team in the nation for the last 2 or maybe 3 years, I think. And those girls train every single day and then have practices every single day, and they live and breathe cheer all while going to school. So as you know, football, there are football players and professional football players after college. There is no professional cheer and competition world. The highest you can go is in a collegiate level, whereas in football, you can go to football for college, and then you can get signed into a professional team. And there are professional cheerleaders, but it's still sideline cheer. It's not competition cheer. So the collegiate level for the NCAA College Nationals is the biggest competition for competitive cheer. And when you get to the collegiate level, which is, another level 10 kind of thing, that's when you get into the biggest thing. So now that we've gone through all of the different types of levels, skills, stunting, physical exertion, and time into it, I want to pose this question to my audience and to you. If you or maybe your own kid had practice every single day, training outside of the practice, training outside of the season for hours, learning different skills since they were kids, and putting their bodies through this much physical exertion, okay, and growing up and going to college for this thing, but their whole life being negated and being told, that's not a sport, you're not doing anything, you're just cheering. What would you think? What would you say? Is cheerleading a sport? Thank you.